It's a wonderful occasion here at WrestlePurists. We are joined by the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, or for that matter, wrestling's World Champion in general at this point, if we're being honest, the great Athena. How are you
Thank
today,
you.
champ?
I am good, but remember, forever ROH champ. You got to get it. You got to get that forever in there.
There's so many like plaudits now. Sometimes it's hard to stack them up. But I'll keep it in mind nonetheless. Of course, we're focusing on Final Battle on Honor Club, Ring of Honor's biggest show of the year.
hmm
I'm intrigued. How does it feel this time going in? You're coming off of a main event at Death Dishonor, a special match with Willow. Does that experience help you going into this, or is it a similar vibe of this is still the main event? It's a huge match. How does that kind of affect your feeling going in?
I think it's a little bit of both because, like, as much as I'm like, oh no, I'm not worried about being the main event. Like, the main event has to deliver. Like, we are the headliners of the show, so yeah, the pressure is on to deliver not just once, but deliver even better than the first time. So it's a weird kind of feeling, especially with it being in my hometown, like the place that I was born and raised and left very quickly. Um, so yeah, I mean, the pressure's on, but like I'm confident that I can deliver and that I can beat the tar out of Billie Starkz, and that's all that really matters, right?
Absolutely. It certainly feels like you take a great deal of pride in being like the face of this kind of Ring of Honor reboot. And like, you heard it in the media now, you had the two main events now. Is that a role that you relish as much as it seems you do? Because it's a big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like when I think about like Ring of Honor and how hard I worked there when I was on the independent scene to get there, like it means a lot. It's very personal. I want to make Ring of Honor the place that it's the proving ground,
Right.
It's the place that you come to discover yourself and discover what you want to be, whether it be an AEW, the independent circuit, or just whatever. And I feel like on some level, like I do take so much pride in being the face of Ring of Honor. Like I take pride in everything that I do from the moment I step in the ring to the moment that I'm cutting a promo in the back, talking to my bestie Lexi. Everything has to be perfect, but that's just the way I am. It doesn't matter if it is on Ring of Honor, AEW, or the independent circuit. I go balls to the wall. I try to do everything in my power to make sure by the end of the day you're like, wow, what did you see Athena? Athena's great. Athena's this. And of course, that's going to shine through because I am just overly confident in my abilities to perform, to entertain. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. You mentioned Lexi there, and that has been a huge part of this kind of saga with Billie Starkz, right? It's been central to the whole thing. Um, how quickly in your interactions with Lexi now did you realize that there was a dynamic there that could be like almost a constant on Ring of Honor TV because
Um,
it's been a real highlight.
like I feel like it just kind of happened, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like from her not being able to do her job right as a interviewer all the way back till me having to coach her up. Like it was just a natural progression that she become a part of the Minion Mafia, if you will. Like Lexi's absolutely amazing and she's a stunning personality. Like even behind the camera, which you guys don't really get to see, she's an amazing human being. And it's so funny to me that like everyone always steps on her because she's more sassy than probably both me and Billie combined.
Tremendous. Now you mentioned you kind of used the phrase there, but it's something that just happened. Would you
hmm
describe the dynamic with Billy similarly? Because I think the first match was Forbidden Door, right? It's almost like a 6 month arc. Watching it's felt like something that's kind of come together organically. Would you say that's been the case, or is it something that you had a more of a deliberate plan for overall?
I think it just kind of happened, to be honest with you. Billy was this young upstart kid that like had options on where she could go, and she chose to come to us. And seeing her at Forbidden Door, seeing her get stepped on in the locker room, seeing her just trying to survive, like it seemed like she was someone that I needed to take under my wing. She needed my help, she needed my guidance, whether she wanted it or not. And just showing that she had this unique personality, this unique move set, if you will. And she was just limiting herself so much that I was just like, you know what? No, you're mine now. I'm going to show you how this works because if you continue down this path, you're going to be no one. And that's kind of how this all started, like behind the scenes is like, no, I was like, you need me. I don't need you. You need me. I need to show you how this works, because she had the ability, she had the skill set to be someone special. Well, that was until she turned on me, that is. But,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. To that point, right? To that point, I'm intrigued. Billy obviously is a super young wrestler, but she's had hype for a while now. And when did you first become aware, even if it wasn't actually seeing her wrestle, just like hearing the name and kind of that online buzz and such? When did that first become a thing to you?
I think it had to be I wasn't really familiar with Billie Starkz before she came and did this match with Britt
Right.
Baker, for, I think it was an Orlando taping we had,
Yes.
and everyone was just like, "Wow, Billie Starkz and Britt Baker killed it. Billie Starkz, Billie Starkz, Billie Starkz." And I was like, "Who is Billie Starkz? Is she Tony Stark's daughter or something? Like, what is it? I don't understand what's happening." So I went and I looked up and I saw like, wow, she's 18. Wow, she's been wrestling since she's 14. Okay, wow. And then like that's kind of how Billie Starkz got on my radar. And then I started deep diving into her Tokyo Joshi Pro stuff, and I was like, wow, this is someone really cool. This is an asset that we can have for the company, and I'm really glad that she decided to come and join us here. So yeah, like Billie Starkz is one of those people that kind of skated under the radar till like she finally just appeared, and it seems like now she's everywhere.
Yeah, certainly a big spot at Final Battle, right? So there's going to be a huge, huge match. I'm intrigued by with Ring of Honor in general. How do you think there's an advantage to the way that you were able to tape the TV show? Like, there's some of the stuff, the especially the pre-tapes with the minions in training and such. It felt like you were able to get even more creative with the way that show is produced. Is that a factor at all for you as a performer? Or is it just when you're out there, it feels live, so that's the way you treat it, or is there a difference at all?
It's it's weird because I have to treat it the same, right?
Right.
Because everything we do backstage affects what we do in the ring. That's just storytelling 101. Um, I remember bringing this idea and I was like, we need to have minion training. And someone was like, what the hell is minion training going to be? And I was like, I'm gonna nail this. I said, I'm gonna put Billy and Lexi through the ropes. And they were like, Lexi? I was like, yeah, Lexi needs to be here too. And they were like, what are you doing? And so it was kind of something outside of what anyone has ever really seen me do, but it's something I was very familiar with doing comedy bits on the indies. And I don't even necessarily consider it a comedy bit because I think like I just am the greatest coach of all time. But when you look back at everything, it's like we took a really big risk with something that was out of character from me being just must see violence all the time. And it brought a different lane to Lexi, a different dynamic for me and Lexi, a different dynamic from Billy and Lexi, all the way to me. And it was a risk that we all decided to take, and it paid off really well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it got a lot of buzz for that wasn't watching the TV, right? It's the kind of thing that can spread much quicker. Speaking of such, anyone watching right now, please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm intrigued. You mentioned your prior work in Ring of Honor,
Mhm.
and it's really, Ring of Honor has such a rich history. For you, do you find it hard to even compare like the current Ring of Honor to where it was? But not for better or worse, they're just so different, right? And kind of in structure and such. Or is it a case of ultimately the bell's going to ring and we have to do what Ring of Honor's always done, which is deliver, as you kind of mentioned earlier?
I mean, obviously, it's a little bit of both, right? I
Right.
mean, like I said before, Ring of Honor is that proving ground. It's a whole bunch of hungry stars vying for the attention of the one and only Tony Khan, right? And when you look back at what Ring of Honor was back in the days of Mischief, Daisy Hayes, Sarah Del Rey, Allison Danger, Sumi Sakai, Alexis Lurie, like we can go on with these names, Shirley and Melissa, that have basically set this foundation for Ring of Honor as far as the women go. But when you look at Ring of Honor as a whole, like you wouldn't have a Brian Danielson, you wouldn't have a Nigel
Right.
McGuinness, you wouldn't have a Roderick Strong or a Samoa Joe. You wouldn't have a lot of the guys that we all love today without Ring of Honor because that was the proving ground. That was the baseline. And you have to be great at Ring of Honor to be even greater in AEW. So it's really fun to see the progression of where Ring of Honor started, especially when I was there. Um, just struggling to survive. And I will say that in Ring of Honor because
Right.
the caliber of talent there was as strong as I am now. And moving forward throughout this entire history of going through the Women of Honor era and seeing just the evolution of how talent has changed, how the business has changed, how the in ring competition has changed. Like, of course, it's always going to be Ring of Honor is pure wrestling. Ring of Honor is the standard that you have to be able to succumb and surpass to be someone. And we just take that week in and week out and make that something special.
Absolutely. Now, a big part of that history, of course, if it was important to note, one of the big matches at Final Battle is the fight to honor Jay Briscoe.
Mhm.
I was interested, just any, it doesn't have to be a specific memory, just any kind of thoughts about Jay, who is kind of just Ring of Honor personified, right?
I remember the first time I met Jay and Mark. I was probably like 19 or 20. We're not gonna age myself. We're just gonna give a vague range because I'm still 20. I'm still 21
Of
because I like
course,
whiskey.
right.
I'm 21. Let's go there. I remember I was so shy. It was one of my first like loops with Ring of Honor at the time, and I was just afraid to say hi to anyone. And I remember Jay and Mark walked up and they go, "Hey, girl," and I was like, "Oh, hey." They're like, "We're chicken farmers," and I was like, "What? What?" What? Just like, and it took me aback. And they're like, "Very nice to meet you. What do you do?" And I'm like, "I wait tables and I work at Target." Uh, and I remember they were the first people that I met at Ring of Honor, and they were just so nice and so warm and so welcoming in this very wild, crazy place that it was just always something that, like, when I got to AEW and I saw them for the first time, they gave me a big hug. "Girl, I know you don't remember us." And I was like, "I remember you." With that heart open, of course I'm going to remember you for the rest of my life. And it was just something that they were always so warm, always so welcoming. And for us to do a tribute like this of this caliber that gives a, I guess, putting tag team wrestling on a platform
Right.
for the sake of a great cause and just having everyone come together for Jay, like, that means something because we all care. Because at the end of the day, none of these guys had to do this. And I think that's what is first and foremost. We could have came out, we could have put, the entire roster on the ramp and said, "Hey guys, this is how we want to honor him." But I know that, like, that's not how Jay would want to do things. Jay is very much so, like, I remember Mark was like, that he went and had a match and we all came out for the end of the match on the ringside. He goes, "Jay wouldn't want me to do this. He said he wouldn't want me to cry," and like it was just really like humbling to see how much Mark loves his brother. And maybe I'm just going too in depth behind the scenes, but it means something to all of us. And the guys that are actually, going out here and putting on this match in his memory, that means the world.
So I think it means a lot to fans to be able to share that as much as we can. Also, as we kind of wind down here, I know you mentioned earlier this week one of the big things for 2024 is maybe taking that step to be more, regular on AEW TV.
Mhm.
How important is it to you that when that step is taken, even when that step is taken, it's done while maintaining everything you've built up on Ring of Honor? Because that means lots of fans, I think, right? That it feels consistent with who you've been for this year.
Yeah, I think when I look back at my past year, it was filled with ups and downs, but mostly like dominance. And I want to take that step back on AEW TV because I know for a fact that everything that me and my roster have been doing is far superior to what's been going on AEW TV, right? When you look at these women that want to do silent films instead of go out there and kick someone in the face, I take offense to that. We're messing with zombies. And like, I don't know what Julia Hart is, but it's a spookiness that I'm just willing to kick in the face as well. When you look at everything that's going on AEW TV, you can't sit there and say, "Oh, Athena's going to be lost in the wayside." Athena's going to come through. I'm going to beat Tony Storm. I'm going to rate her silent films on Rotten Tomatoes like a -100. I'm going to come through, kick Julia Hart in her face with that spooky, broad attitude that she has, and she can go back to the House of Black and fade into the wayside. And I am going to end my 2024 a Triple Crown champion, not only defending my Ring of Honor Women's World Champion because I am the forever champ. This is just what I do. And I think it would be a massive disservice for me to downgrade myself instead of elevating them to my level.
Co-signer, this sounds good to me. Okay, final thing. Anyone who is somehow on the fence after all we've covered here over the last 15 minutes or so, why do they need to tune in? Final Battle, watch ROH.com on a club. Why do they have to be there? Tell the people.
Because I'm there. Simple
Yeah.
fact. Simple fact. No, I mean, like, honestly, it's going to be a great show. It's in my hometown. You guys know I'm going to show out as I do every single pay-per-view. Not only that, I have a grudge against Billie Starkz. She betrayed me. She broke my nose. Like, I cannot say enough terrible things about Billie Starkz, but just know at the end of the day, like, she thinks that she has learned everything there is to learn from me, and I'm going to pull out so many tricks it's going to have her guessing and wondering if she ever should have missed and left MIT.
I think we're going to find the answer. Final Battle, folks. Please do tune in. Also, if you enjoyed this interview, thumbs up, subscribe, all those good things. Athena, thanks for joining us. This was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
And good luck. I don't think you need it, but good luck
I don't
nonetheless.
need the luck. I'm going to beat the tar off this bride. That's it.
And on that note, thank you again.
Thank you.